Howdy folks, welcome once again to the brewery. This is just a quick chat. There's not much going to actually happen on this video, but I'm telling you about some things that are going to happen, which I think is going to be quite interesting for a lot of brewers, particularly the kit brewers. Probably not so much the all grain boys, but there's other stuff for you guys coming. But right now, this is what I'm looking at, and there's been some posts on Facebook. You might have seen them. Obviously, not everyone's on Facebook, but anyway, as part of Extractaganza, now 28 brews in, starting to get a little bit let's say perturbed by the level of twang that is still coming through with a lot of the kits, even with the upgraded methods, steeping grains, hop additions, even as far as partial mashes. That twang is still an underlying issue across so many of the kits, and destroys so many of the kits. So I was getting to the point where I was actually considering just ditching Extractaganza altogether, and leaving the kits be, potentially rolling into maybe focusing a bit more on fresh wort kits, as a way of maybe suggesting that the basic home brewer needs to work away from kits, due to the fact that it is very difficult to make, it seems to be very difficult to make a good beer. And we know it's difficult when a lot of all grain brewers have got there because they got sick of making, subpar beer with kits. But in the last probably 3 months, I've had some discussions with people around different ways that they get around twang, or at least they believe they get around twang. Some saying they can get rid of it, some saying it's like, at least masking it. But by and large, most of those people, when they're saying, oh, you get rid of kit twang simply by, and they list good yeast, temperature control, and using malt or steeping grains and or hops. Now, as you know, I do all those things. I do all the right things. I'm not a fucking learner. I know all the things that supposedly make better beer, and I've used them all like I said, all the methods. Even including treating the water, the brew, using spring water even, but all those methods still at the end of the day ultimately leave an amount of twang in the beer, and it varies, as you will know across the videos, from not even, well, brand from brand, but not even brand to brand, brew to brew, style to style within each brand. Are some are worse than others. So it's like, what can I do? So I was looking at, I said, ways of using these different methods that people have been talking about, and that on its own led me to these. The Woolies Lager in the Draft. Now, these are getting hard to come by. I happened upon them in the Albion Park Woolworths down there in Wollongong. I was just doing some shopping down there at the daughter's house and spotted these, so I grabbed them. And the plan was to use these as the base for some trials around some different ingredients and processes that claim to get rid of the twang and make these kit beers quite good. Even this sort of thing. I got these more as a point that it's been a long time since I've brewed one. It won't hurt to brew. People still ask for me to brew one. I think people think, because I didn't label, the video's not labelled with woolies, so you can't actually just find it by searching the channel. And it was quite a while back, but I did do, good methods when I done it. But anyway, using these as the base, and I'm going to use these then to use a couple of different methods which I've got. Now I'm not going to go into those methods right now, but it includes just using some different ingredients, or adding ingredients at different times to make them better. So they're going to be used for that, and also there's going to be a few things done with those. But the first thing I want to do is I'm looking at where the actual twang comes from. Now, people ask all the time, where does the twang come from? Where do you think it comes from? And no one's ever, I've never heard someone come up with a real definite answer. I've always believed it comes from iso hops and or hop extracts being used in the process for making the tins, because they need to make the tins very, very consistent. So I always thought that there was amount of credence in that hop extract or the iso hops creating the twang. I've always thought that maybe the extraction process may contribute a little bit, but having done liquid extract brews before, and it's not overly noticeable, so I don't think it's particularly tin related, but I do have these two. Now this come about from a chat with the head man down there at Nowra Brew Shop. I think his name's Chris. I'm not sure. I can never remember his name, and I don't think I asked him when I'm in there. But anyway, we were chatting, and I was asking him about have he had, any discussions or any, thoughts around getting rid of the twang, because I said I was, looking to do these recipes. I was down there picking up a few things. And he said to me, he said, what do you think causes the twang? He said, do you think, is it the hops? Is it the hop extracts? And I said, well, I believe it is. And he said, well, and it was so obvious. He said, well, why don't you just do a brew with a hop tin and a non-hop tin and see what happens. So if I brew this and then brew with this, is there twang in both, or is it only in this? So I thought, so fucking obvious. So that's going to be the first place I go, is doing that. There'll be some more info in the video about why specifically these, but we'll leave that for then. So my belief is truly that is going to be a difference. There is going to be a lot more twang there than there is here. Whether there's no twang there, I don't know for sure. Done a liquid extract brew quite a while back. I did the liquid extract versus dry extract videos back there. But that liquid extract is actually a Brees brewing, specific brewing extracts from the States. Comes in plastic tubs, it's not tinned. It's obviously got to go through the extraction process, but not exactly like for like. So I'm going to go with those. So obviously the first thing is to try and isolate where the twang is. Now part of the reason I believe it's the iso hops is because I know that, and anyone who's been watching the channel, I get far less twang, better quality beer out of Black Rock kits, and Black Rock state on their website that they use Pacific Jade and Green Bullet as kettle additions in their beers. So that to me says they're actually using kettled hops and maybe only using a little bit of iso hop or extract for IBU correction, then that may be why there's far less twang. Just kegged up a ESB kit yesterday, which is from one of their 3 kilo tins. It's the next Extractaganza is going to come in the next week or so, but I know they use hops, real hops in their big tins. I've got one here. This is one I've just picked up the other day, the 3 kilo tins. I've done a couple of these, and these all made decent beers. Again, with some of the better beers I've made in Extractaganza, they got hops in the tins, and I'm very confident they use actual hops in their kettles, even with the smaller tins. So that brew yesterday had very, very little twang. So again, that's sort of supporting that argument. So if that is where it is, then that brings up another line of thinking, and that is another discussion I've seen around, and a few people have thrown around, and that is where people talk about boiling the kit, getting rid of the twang, and there's been 3 or 4 people that have popped up in a couple of different discussions and thrown these comments out there, had a bit of a laugh between themselves, and that's it. I've directly asked them what they're talking about, what the process is, what do they mean by boiling, and they just don't answer. There's no elaboration on it. It's like somehow they've got some super secret that the world's going to implode if they tell anybody else. It quite honestly pisses me off. Yeah, it goes against everything this channel is. If there is some process that does great things, I'd love to know about it. I'd love to share it with people. But if those kits do have twang from the iso hop, for me it stands to reason that an amount of boiling may boil off that twanginess, because my assumption is, and from information I've garnered, seems to support it, that for the most part, the tins are just simple extract with iso hop added to create a certain IBU, certain profile. So they're not actually, it's not kettled before extraction. So the boiling may have an impact on that. But that's another thing that I'll be looking at. So there's about, I think there's 5 or 6 individual things I want to look at specifically across a couple of brews and see what they do. I'm really keen to see what they will do. There are, realistically, there's 2 things there which I think are going to be really beneficial going forward, and like I said, that's the boiling and potentially locating or locking down where this kit twang is coming from. If my thought process and the information I'm working with is correct, I think that could be a big turn. That could be a big turning point for the extract brews, because that is a process which is very, very, very overlooked and, like I said, not discussed. I do remember back in the day when I first started brewing, I did a couple of kits from a mob in England. I don't know if they even exist anymore, but there was 2 kits I did, and both of those had to be boiled as part of the process of making up the kit. So that in itself sort of makes me wonder if there is something in that. But we will see. So over the next little bit, we're going to play around with all these with a various amount of ingredients, some of which I left down in the cabin in my Iola, which I'll need to get next time I'm down there and bring back. But luckily I've got stuff I can get through with till then. But yeah, so that's it. The Twang Files, the Extractaganza. There'll be no Extractaganza brews as such until these trials are done. So it could be, I'm expecting this is going to take about 3 months to get through all the brews and tasting in the process. So of course we've got to brew, got to ferment, let condition, taste, then go on with the next stage. I can get some stuff in between, so it's going to take a little while. But at the end of the day, a couple of months in the big picture is nothing. If we can get, if we get to the point where we can get rid of the nastiness that's so often associated with kits, then that's going to be fantastic. So anyway, that's me, and that's coming soon. Look, keep your eyes open. As always, you got any comments or any questions, stick them down the bottom. Big thumbs up to Little John's Patreon. Thank you for your support, guys. Again, this is the sort of stuff that lets me play around and do. I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. There's a link down the bottom to Patreon if you're interested in checking it out. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. If you're not, hit the subscribe button down there at the bottom. Ring the bell, get notified when the video comes up. That way you don't miss any of this exciting stuff I'm going to be playing around with. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. It helps. It all helps. Anyway, that's me, Little John. I'm out of here. So till I see you on the next video, we brew and beer, drink and beer, or talk and beer. Good brewing.